Hello, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about the term borderline in borderline personality disorder. Borderline personality disorder is marked by mood instability, impulsivity, fear of abandonment, and self-image issues. In 1980, BPD became an official personality disorder in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Have you ever wondered how the term borderline came to describe BPD? Learn more about the origin of this term and why its use has been debated throughout the years. So, the history of borderline in borderline personality disorder. The term borderline was introduced in 1983 by American psychoanalyst Adolf Stern. Stern used it to describe a group of patients who had no improvement with therapy and whose symptoms did not fit into either psychosis or neurosis classifications. The term was then used to describe people who seemed to exhibit a type of borderline schizophrenia. By the 1970s, a deeper understanding of BPD began to emerge. Psychoanalyst Otto Kenberg used borderline to describe a personality organization between psychosis and neurosis. People with borderline personality organization were described as having primitive psychological defenses, which are defense mechanisms to avoid anxiety, and the first to happen developmentally. Examples include splitting or assigning good or bad qualities to everything, as well as projective identification or projection, or assigning your negative qualities onto someone else. The personality organization was marked by instability and issues with one's sense of identity. Soon a pattern of symptoms began to emerge to describe those with BPD, including: do you feel like you relate to any of these? Let me know down in the comments below. Unstable sense of image. That's me. Identity disturbance can include changes in what they want to do with their lives and what they are interested in. I could agree with that one. I'm constantly fluctuating. There's a couple of things I do know. One of which is I want to be an actor. A second of which is I want to do YouTube. And the third of which is I want to be a filmmaker. Rapidly fluctuating mood swings. This can range from anxiety and anger to intense dysphoria. I myself have large mood swings. Interestingly, I actually feel more of the anxiety side of things now that I'm 29 years old now. I feel more of the anxiety side of things than I do, say, the anger, like sadness, like deep sadness. I don't seem to have that as much anymore. You know, those feelings of shame and resentment aren't they aren't as much as what they were previously. But I do have waves of falling into that. Fear of abandonment can cause them to cut off people whom they fear will abandon them or attach themselves closely to others. May lead to self-harm or suicidal behaviours. This is something that it's embedded into me, but the suicidal or self-harm sort of tendencies, they have now gone, which I'm very glad about. So if you still have those as a part of your life, just know that with time and acceptance and healing, you can get away from them. It's not impossible, actually. It's very achievable. But the fear of abandonment is definitely inbuilt into me. You know, it comes across in my dreams. The only dreams that I seem to have is that my partner is sort of leaving me and things like that. But I do also get that fear of abandonment. Sorry, there's a little fly there. Impulsive feelings now no longer dictate my actions, and sometimes I still retain the feelings that I should do things, you know, working off of that fear of abandonment feeling. You know, maybe that's me trying to run away or separate myself from them, or whatever it may be. But I still have those feelings, but I don't act upon them, and that's just because I understand what they are now, and I believe that some feelings are true and some feelings are kind of false. They all feel the same, but I know to trust and believe in some and not trust and believe in others. Strong tendency for both self-harm and suicidal thinking. Now this is something that I personally have come away from, and I'm very proud of that. I never want to do that ever again. I think it comes down to managing and understanding those feelings and still having them, but just not acting upon them. Over time, yes, they have become a lot less. It almost feels like, the waves used to be tidal waves, and they would be consistent all of the time, but now it's kind of like the waves are, they're slow and steady, and every now and again I might have a big wave, but I understand what that big wave is because I've had it previously in my life. Borderline personality disorder today. Today, far more is known about BPD. It's now recognised as a disorder characterised by intense emotional experiences and instability in relationships, with behaviour that begins in early adulthood and shows up in multiple contexts. For example, at home and work. In addition, experts have recognised that there is a strong genetic component to BPD. That's interesting, I didn't know that. I actually did an ancestry test kit yesterday, so yeah, that's very interesting. My real father was a schizophrenic, so yeah, interesting. BPD in the DSM-5. According to the DSM-5, to be diagnosed with BPD, a person must meet a certain criteria. These include the following: a pervasive pattern of instability and interpersonal relationships, self-image and emotions. Frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. Impulsivity that is self-damaging. Recurrent suicidal behaviour or self-harm. Chronic feelings of emptiness. Inappropriate, intense anger. I can put my hand up now and I can recognise when it's coming, and I know that I just have to take a step away from that situation. Again, it's something that's still there, but it's something that is so physical, and I instantly know. Do you know what it feels like? It feels like when my fight or flight mechanism is triggered and I can't flight, so that fight instantly comes out, and it's like a surge of energy that comes through my body that feels like I need to act upon. And knowing when that is happening and feeling that sense of this intense anger is all of a sudden there, it is then my job and my responsibility to create distance so that I can manage that, so that I can come back to the logical thinking and then reapproach the situation. I'm not saying distance is in walk away and be disrespectful, to maybe a person or a situation that has made you feel this way, but I mean create distance in a sense of the rise is happening, and you need to catch the rise as it is happening and bring that back down. But yes, those anger feelings are still there, and a lot of it actually comes to physical pain as well. When I feel physical pain, that seeing red, it's not necessarily that I see red, but it's when I'm in a situation that I know isn't controlled, i.e. I don't get that in martial arts, because I've put myself there. But when it happens in my just real life, outside of those controlled situations, that's when it really can flare up. Transient stress related to alterations in reality. Someone with BPD may not experience every symptom. However, they exhibit at least 5 symptoms to receive a diagnosis. I also question whether or not I tick 5 of those boxes now, which is interesting because, like I said, some of the qualities are still there, but do I tick the boxes? I don't know. BPD can impact every aspect of your life and leave you feeling out of control. You can experience intense emotions, including depression, anxiety, and anger. That can be difficult to manage. You may question who you are and doubt your self-worth. It might be hard to keep a job or be in a stable relationship. Living with BPD can be difficult and isolating. However, there is treatment available to help manage these symptoms. I just want to talk about that, actually. You know, that small paragraph at the end there. Depression, anxiety, anger, yeah. Difficult to manage, yeah. You may question who you are, yeah. Doubt your self-worth, yes. It might be hard to keep a job, yeah. And be in a stable relationship, no. I figured it out, that bit. Living with BPD can feel difficult, yeah. Isolating, yeah. But there's treatment available. And you can get better. I really believe that you can get better. And I have all of those symptoms. I have every single one of them. But instead of seeing them now as like this absolute bane of my life, and it's the worst thing about me, it's like, yes, I have these things, but I still can lead a positive, healthy and happy life. It just is possible. And embracing these like sensitive qualities of yourself, I think, is the most powerful thing. It's really made such a huge impact on my life, and I really encourage that to anyone, however scary that may be, or if you get judged for it, or whatever it may be, being strong enough to still reveal that, because it's a revealing, gives all the power to you. If you want help now, talk to Talkspace, BetterHelp and Regain. Apparently those are really good options. They are recommended by Very Well Mind. The term borderline has been debated throughout the years. Some believe that BPD should not be classified as a personality disorder, but rather as a mood disorder or an identity disorder. Many experts have also called for BPD to be renamed because the term borderline is outdated and potentially stigmatising. Tell me in the comments down below what you think. I'm not too sure. I don't think borderline has negative stigma attached to it. If anything, I've chose that over emotionally unstable personality disorder, and it's the same thing. Here we go. Suggestions for the new name have included emotional intensity disorder. I don't think that quite hits the nail on the head. Yes, you feel intense emotions, but I think that takes away from the element of suicidal thoughts and tendencies, identity confusion, fear of abandonment. I don't think it I don't know why. Borderline feels like there's a balance that we are constantly sort of bouncing between. Intensity just feels like a lot, and yes, it is a lot, like that's part of it, but it's not all of it. I don't know. Emotional dysregulation disorder. I mean, I think that's, I think that kind of fits more a little bit with it, where, the things that you feel are dysregulated, so they can kind of cross over that boundary. And this last one, dyslimbia. What does it mean for you if you have BPD? It's important to not get too hung up on the term borderline. The term is outdated and may be changed in the future. Instead, focus on working with a physician or therapist to receive the proper therapy and get all your questions answered so that you can manage your symptoms. BPD is often misdiagnosed because symptoms overlap with other conditions, including bipolar disorder, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder. Thus, the word borderline might more adequately describe the fact that it sits on the border of many other conditions, blurring their distinctions. See, that's very interesting. That's really interesting, because the anxiety disorders, I relate to that. The busyness of ADHD, I relate to that. I am personally dyslexic, so I relate to that. The post-traumatic stress disorder, you know, I don't know too much about it, but I can definitely remember really, really stressful times in my life, and they stimulate and affect how I am in my normal life. You know, bipolar disorder, that's long periods of what we feel, which seems to be, you know, emotional dysregulation or intensity, but even then it's both dysregulation and intensity, you know, and it lasts short periods of time, but sometimes it can last for long periods of time, and it has short periods consistently throughout that long period. So yeah, it covers a lot, and also dysregulation in the sense of it's not a consistent feeling. Like you feel more of it at certain times than you do others in your life. So it's like, it really is like this full scale. So and I'm sure that not everybody with BPD feels the same, you know. It's like other disorders where there's such a broad spectrum of it. I'm no psychiatrist, but I know other people with BPD and they are not like me, not at all. You know, they may have some of the same symptoms, but they're just, the way that they are is it's not the same. And you know, obviously that comes down to genetics as well, and just who you are as a person, your upbringing and all of that stuff. Yeah, that was a really long-winded answer. While the term borderline may be a misnomer in BPD, research has uncovered a great deal about the condition since the 1970s. There is treatment available to manage symptoms of BPD, including psychotherapy and medication. If you or a loved one might have BPD, don't put off reaching out to a mental health professional. They can help set up a treatment plan that's right for you. Right, so that's it. If you did like the video, please hit that subscribe button, drop me a like, and leave a comment down below if you did, because I haven't done this in a while. You know, I feel very, very rusty, but I want to jump back on the horse. I just want to be able to help people again, and I've got lost in my own little world for so long that I forgot that I can help people. I was questioning who I was and what I'm doing, again, the identity, and I didn't know if what I was doing was valuable or if I am qualified enough. And then I thought, you know what, if I can put everything together and I can help people and I can do the things that I enjoy, and maybe I am the right person to talk about this because I have the disorder, and I'm willing to be open and honest about it, maybe I can be of use. So here I am again. Here I am again, and I'm sure that's just part of BPD as well. Love you lots. I'll see you guys in the next. You done already.